Hello, we are Sornia. Thank you for welcoming us into your hearts, into your awareness, following us and communicating with us and sharing your thoughts and your worries and everything that you do for us as a collective group of individuals working together with the same goal, and that is freedom. So we want to talk to you a little bit about how much you've all, we can really say this because we're all together, how much we've all accomplished and will continue to accomplish. Some of you have expressed falling into, let's put it this way, you're constantly, you know this, but you're constantly being bombarded by the things that are a threat to you. You know, your environment, in this time right now, many of you are being threatened by the environment of the wildfires. And what does that mean? And your environment is a threat, or other people are a threat. All of that is still being pushed strongly. And it comes through in so many subtle ways. We want you to be very alert because you're going to see this. Be alert to how you are being manipulated in so many different ways through the media. We say this to you, but you want to pay attention how you are being manipulated through the music you listen to, the words that are spoken through the media. Down to simple things like a television commercial. You have the capability now, those who hear these messages, so not all of humanity, but because you are in the forefront, you have developed your skills to that point that you have the capability now to use that discernment to see through the illusions, okay? The illusions and the manipulations, to see them for what they are. So we're encouraging you to do your own exploration into how you have been manipulated to believe a certain thing or not to believe a certain thing, because this is what is coming to the foreground. This is part of your freedom. This is part of what you are doing, what you call the ascension, to see through this illusion. When you break through that power of this illusion, and I use the word power because it has been very powerful. Those are very clever individuals who have created this illusion. So it's strong, and yes, it's not easily done, but you are all now capable. And that's what we are wanting to share with you, because this is that next phase of learning that you are all experiencing and allowing yourselves to have these experiences of the illusion. So how were you manipulated to believe certain things is really important. And we would say that would be the first step that you would want to begin your observations and exploration. So that's why we suggest looking at the media, looking at commercials, listening to the language that is being used, really paying attention, because you will begin to see how it's a subtle form of manipulation. That's one form. You have other forms of manipulation as well, but this is the one where you can really see through it now. And as you are able to see through that manipulation or how it works, don't try to dismantle it. Oh, you can. That's not what we're saying, I guess. Trying to dismantle it. We want you to see it for what it is, because when you see what the illusion is, then you begin to go, oh, okay, that's false. It's not truth. So we talked to you about how illness is an illusion. Illness, lack, poverty, any sort of lack, and whether it be financial or anything else, is an illusion. These are all illusions, and they've been put in place in your mind through these various sources of exposure to, like the media, and there are many, music, your films, people offering information, propaganda, brainwashing, call it what you will. But there are so many different ways in which this has become part of it. Your educational system all of that. That's where so much of it really has occurred, in particular in the last 20 to 25 years, but even before then. So when you can understand that, you look at it and you see it, that's all you need to do is to see it. And then a smile will come to your face when you start to recognize the many different ways in which you have been conditioned, indoctrinated, and convinced to believe certain things that are just part of the illusion. And what's big right now, which we talked about the last time with you, is the whole thing about disease and illness and all of that, because it's there. Many of you are concerned for the various tactics, you might say, that are being used to attack you. Some of you see it in that way. Others see that there is a virus. In whatever case it is, we're not here to tell you to believe one thing or another. What we're here to say is see it for what it is. If you believe that there is something out there that has more power over you than your own ability as an eternal being to have the experience, then whatever that is that you see as a threat will come and be a threat. It will be that. And that's what you have been experiencing. When you see it for what it is, it dissolves. And that is what you have all managed to get to, that place with your consciousness, with your awareness, to begin to understand these aspects of this illusion, that you are going to be able to dissolve their ability to hold you in a certain state of being. And you're going to see them and realize that they have no power over you. And we're talking right now about disease, but other things, lack. But because we're focusing on disease, because so many are falling ill and blaming it on all sorts of things outside of themselves, right? And it's true, things can come and harm you. I know we're getting into an area that many of you will argue with us about it, and we're okay with that because we want the discussion. We want that you delve into this. So we're going to tell you there is nothing that can harm you in the physical form that you are in if you do not believe that it can harm you. And you're saying, yeah, but I see people, I have close friends who are dying, family members, or are sick, and I see so many people struggling with different illnesses. Yes, they are. But you who are hearing this message are hearing it so that you can penetrate that energetic information with your own consciousness by having the experience, so that you can get that data, if you will, and bring it in and understand it. It has to be understood in order for you to understand how to not have it be part of your experience. So that's what's going on. And it's not everyone will get there, but it is achievable by everyone. And you are the ones in the foreground, our foot soldiers, our warriors, if you will, who are putting yourselves out there in order to have this experience for the precise reason of understanding it and sharing that with others. Think about what that means for your freedom. To not be afraid of anything, because you know yourself so well as an infinite being, having a human experience, and that human experience, you're still in charge of it. This is the ascension that's been talked about. You've only been given the superficial tip of the iceberg information about what the ascension really is. And it's, the words are tossed about, and everyone knows the general idea of it. We're asking you to really understand it, to go in deep and grasp the significance of what it means to understand in human form that you are living in an illusion, living in this matrix. And what does it mean? How is this translating information into your life? It's an exciting time. And many of you are doing it already without even being aware that you are doing it. We've been focusing on your energy systems in your bodies and such lately because that's what is important for understanding your physical form, but much more than that, who you are as eternal beings within that physical form. So what we're saying to you is you're doing it. You may not always be aware of what you're doing and how it's happening, but it's happening. And we want you to take the next period of time from now until we meet again to see if you can't get the more significance to it, the deeper meaning of what it is to live in this reality, the way it is designed, the way it has been created by these other forces. Okay? So with your awareness of that, and how can you, with that awareness, then penetrate into that energy of the illusion in order to understand how the illusion works, okay? Because there's so much that needs to be understood by you and by you alone. We can give you all the information, we can guide you there, we can say this is what's going on, but our words are only the tip of the iceberg of what is necessary for complete and full understanding. And that's where you're at right now in the coming months, to go into that depth of understanding of what this is all about. And that's where it's at. And that's why so many of you have taken on difficulties at this time, especially with the physical form. And we have mentioned that, and we will continue to remind you of it so that you don't get discouraged. We have said to you before, and we will continue to say this, even if it becomes controversial for you, but there is no death. If you believe that there is death, then that's where you want to go. And some of you say, well, what happens when our bodies, do eventually give out? We want you to go into that. What does that mean? Go into that. We need that information as much as you need that information. You see, we don't know all of this. We want to understand what is the mechanism that causes the disease or discomfort in the physical form to create the experience of what you call death. We're looking to understand that because you ultimately know that there is a life eternal. All of you do. So the life eternal is what you are, eternal beings. But how does this all translate into your understanding of why you have chosen to be in earth experience in this time frame at this time? So there's a reason for it, and you are all part of a greater force of good that is seeking to reestablish the balance between the physical and the non-physical. So you're doing the type of, or having the type of experiences that are sometimes frightening, sometimes leaving you questioning your own faith and your own understanding of spiritual teachings. We can't do much beyond what we've already been doing for you because we are learning as you are learning. We know a little bit more. We know a lot more, but so do you. You know things as well. You don't remember when you're in human form, but more of you are remembering more of the truth of who you really are. So that's also changing. We're just very pleased to tell you that it's all it being your work and all the expertise all of you are bringing to this life experience in human form is really causing everything to be opened up, and more individuals are accessing the information that would not have been able to access it before. But you're doing so much for yourselves first, which is important. Take care of self first, because as you do that, it has a ripple effect. Yeah, so it can seem as if things are out of order and, so many people understanding the difficulties in their world and being frightened. Your job is to help everyone move past the fear, to help them understand there is nothing to fear. And so you have to get to that place where you don't fear anything and you just have the experience and you trust. And that's what we see that most of you are doing. And we're just here to keep encouraging you and give you that, the keep going, the pep talk, because it's working. It's working. The changes are happening that you may not be aware of them yet, but they're happening. They're happening. And we anticipate that there will be some experiences that you will have that will prove it to you. They might come in small ways through actions in your community of seeing the good in your community, so much more. Most of you are already seeing that because you have changed your perception. You see, we've talked about this. Your perception creates your experience, right? So if your perception is being manipulated, your experience then becomes a part of that manipulation. So when your perception is of a high vibration, a loving vibration, a compassionate vibration, you will get that as your vision. That's how you will see things. You will have encounters of that level of understanding. So your perception is part of what is being manipulated, has been manipulated. And this is what's powerful. And we're going to leave you with this, is so many of you have really broken down that barrier of having your perception manipulated. And that's what we were talking about, being aware of how that was done through the media and the other ways, schooling and all of that, how the indoctrination has occurred and the brainwashing and the propaganda. By seeing that, that's coming out. You're doing that, and therein lies also your freedom. So you are all going to benefit from this in small ways in the coming months. We would like for you to acknowledge them. It brings in more, of course, and you will find that the more you see that, you perceive the goodness there, the more that there's goodness, and that is how you are changing everything. So, working just as one last thing, I know we said the last was the last, but this is going to be the last. We aren't going to talk much about your chakras right now. You're still working with the sacral chakra, and that is something that will take some time. It's pretty much the same as it was before. The solar plexus is increasing in its energetic form of not being victimized, but feeling the power. And of course, the heart in many of you is so vibrant and so radiant in your love for all of humanity, all of nature. So things are moving forward, but right now just know that it's pretty much the status quo. We will give you updates as they are necessary. Well, hopefully we helped you a little bit today. That's always our goal. We're pretty much done here with what we wanted to share. We want you to know how much we appreciate everything that you do, every act of kindness or thoughts of kindness, all of that. There's so many. It's so beautiful. We love it. And you do too. So that is all for now. We are Sornia. Goodbye.